In the opening scene, Null, the deity of the emptiness and world destroyer, is where it all begins. They made the codex, a key that might unlock his cage, to make sure he remained imprisoned after light entered his dark kingdom millions of years ago, and his symbiote children betrayed and imprisoned him. In order to allow his animals to be fully free, he must now locate this codex, and, after he escapes, destroy every inhabited planet, including the symbiotes. Eddie Brock is seen talking to the bartender in the present when all of a sudden a vortex emerges and he is teleported away. After growing weary of multiverses and bouncing between them, the symbiote lets loose its wrath on the bar, destroying it in the process. Eddie finds out through the news that Detective Patrick Mogan, who starred in the previous film, has away tragically. Knowing that he cannot return to San Francisco or remain in hiding in Mexico indefinitely, Eddie is at a loss for what to do. However, a thought begins to take shape in his mind. He could use the information he knows about the District Attorney of New York to blackmail him and clean his record. They also decide that now is the ideal moment to fulfill Venom's lifelong goal of seeing the Statue of Liberty. They embark on their adventure with excitement, and Venom tells Eddie that they are now fugitives and threatens to eat them if someone tries to stop them. In the meantime, security cameras are keeping a careful eye on them. Venom detects a threat at that point, and they enter a filthy, dark area with fighting dogs in cages. The proprietors soon arrive and threaten to beat Eddie severely, telling him that he made a mistake by entering and that he would pay a heavy price for it. However, Eddie makes it plain that he will see to it that all of those dogs find homes before things become violent. Then he lets these goons be handled by Venom. One of Null's creatures begins to track them after they depart. The bartender returns to the bar and discovers an odd object, a tiny fragment of the symbiote that has been left on the table. General Strickland shows up at that precise moment, retrieves the fragment, and asks the bartender about the man who was present. A lightning bolt strikes Payne and his twin brother as they are stargazing later on, unfortunately killing his brother. However, this is only a dream. The doctor awakens to the frightening news that she must accompany General Strickland to Area 51. While Dr. Payne conducts research on symbiotes, Strickland says that his job is to gather them. Her co-worker discloses during the talk that they were able to save another symbiote that they had previously believed to be dead. Before they meet Patrick, the first genuinely compatible symbiote host, he tells her that she is broken like him, and he stares at her with a mixture of resignation and grief. The symbiote that shares Patrick's body steps in at that point and warns them to get out. It reveals that there are beings in the universe that chase symbiotes and will destroy everything that stands in their way once they locate them. It also shows that there is a huge dark ocean that spans the entire universe, which is far more terrifying than anyone can imagine. This revelation gives us a sight of the god of the void, Knull, destroying everything in his path while laughing uncontrollably. As the action switches to a plane bound for New York, Venom informs Eddie that they are going there in order to cleanse his name and at last live in harmony. However, a zealot has entered the aircraft, posing a hazard. Venom successfully throws the monster into the plane's engine, causing it to entirely disintegrate. Following the triumph, Venom apologizes to Eddie in a solemn tone, stating that he must vanish in order to keep him safe. After that, he leaps from the aircraft and turns into a parachute to make a safe landing. Later on, we meet a family who had given up a lot to visit Area 51 in order to realize Father Martin's ambition. As they go, pieces of the xenophage monster fall close, but they choose to ignore them because they have saved every penny for this journey. Eddie, who is upset about what happened, asks Venom to tell him what the creature was. Venom gives some backstory and says that it was a symbiote hunter called a Xena. The symbiote's inventor, Knull, created these creatures when his creations betrayed him and put him in a containment that was supposed to keep him unconscious indefinitely. Venom promptly covers Eddie's mouth in fear when he repeats Knull's name, telling him not to do so again because mere mention of Knull's name might draw his notice. Venom goes on to say that the reason Knull is looking for him is because Eddie possesses the codex, a special life force that was generated when Eddie passed away and brought back to life by the symbiote. The codex, a key that could free Knull from his never-ending captivity, was created by that union. A crucial detail is that neither the symbiote nor the host wants the codex to vanish if either of them passes away. They continue to travel until they come across a horse, which they heroically utilize to speed their journey across the desert. Dr. Payne and Strickland argue about the symbiote's nature in the meantime. Strickland thinks they're migrating, while Payne thinks they're fleeing something. However, when they learn that a guy jumped from an airplane under peculiar circumstances, their talk is cut off. Without any delay, Strickland sends out his army, who promptly track down our heroes. Venom throws Eddie into the water to save him, and the two attempt to flee. We now see the symbiote hunting monster, which has detected Venom's signal and is rushing to seize him. Eddie is able to go away unnoticed as the army now concentrates their onslaught on the beast. After Strickland informs the doctor about what happened, she starts to take Patrick's cautions seriously. Eddie informs Venom that since they are now being pursued by special forces, they must remain hidden until they get to New York. Dr. Payne visits Patrick after receiving Strickland's report, and her symbiote informs her that the symbiote hunting beast has arrived. When Patrick's symbiote transforms, it reveals that it has the ability to perceive other symbiotes, but not the black symbiote that Knull is pursuing. It explains that Knull is looking for the sole codex bearer, and that everyone will perish if he finds it. Uneasy, Strickland queries how they can prevent Knull from obtaining it. They can't, the symbiote replies, since Knull is older than the cosmos itself and far too strong. The codex will continue to exist as long as the host and symbiote are both alive. However, the codex disappears once one passes away. Strickland then informs the doctor that he intends to kill one of them in order to neutralize the threat, but she doesn't appear to agree with that plan. The narrative then returns to Martin, who is visiting Area 51 with his family. He presents Eddie to his children, Joa and Echo, and Martin says they can drive him to Las Vegas as he observed Eddie is barefoot. After many hours of driving, they finally reach Las Vegas, where Eddie is promptly identified by security cameras. Before they part ways, Martin offers Eddie some money and a pair of sandals as a token of appreciation for their time together. The two talk about Venom's big dream, seeing the Statue of Liberty. Venom knocks out the security after they are turned away from the casino due to their appearance. Venom becomes enraged when the man pees on Eddie's foot and knocks him out as well, but not before stealing his outfit so he can enter the club in style. Excited, Venom rapidly loses all of their money playing the slot machines in the club. When they see Mrs. Changyan, who has been earning a lot of money lately, luck is on their side. She recommends they celebrate together after pointing out Eddie's foul stench and offering her hotel room for him to freshen up. As implied by the title of the film, Eddie is prepared to leave after getting dressed and cleaned up, but Mrs. Chung demands they stay for a final dance. Eddie tries to decline, but Venom takes over, disregards the dangers, and begins dancing passionately with Mrs., while the symbiote hunter surreptitiously follows them. Venom and Mrs. Chang dance happily until the symbiote hunter approaches too closely, at which point Venom transforms back into Eddie to evade detection. As the hunter retreats, Eddie begs Mrs. Changyan to remain composed. Area 51 agents rush the scene and take Eddie hostage. When Martin's family eventually makes it to Area 51, they choose to enter covertly in order to finish their objective. When Dr. Payne learns that symbiotes deteriorate in the absence of a suitable host inside the lab, she comes to the conclusion that they must bring Venom to the others in order to stop his deterioration. In the meantime, Eddie awakens in a trance following his capture and encounters Patrick, who is still alive. Just then, Strickland storms into the lab and icily tells Dr. Payne that he is now in total control and she is no longer in command. He icily declares his intention to kill Eddie, destroy the codex, and prevent Knull from obtaining it. Dr. Payne and her colleague defy Strickland's plans and take a risk by releasing Venom's symbiote. Venom swiftly transforms back into his original shape and rejoins Eddie, his host, but the lab's xenophage recognizes Venom right once and leaps in. Tate, Patrick's symbiote, tries to stop her as she charges, but he is sadly consumed by the xenophage. As the situation worsens, the other symbiotes kept in the lab escape and form bonds with arbitrary hosts in order to combat the xenophage. By demolishing a portion of the facility to create a way outside, some even aid Venom in escaping. Meanwhile, Dr. Payne grabs a symbiote container and disappears amid the chaos, while Martin's family, concealed in a high vantage point, watches unnoticed. Meanwhile, one symbiote after another is devoured by the unrelenting xenophage. Eddie tries to run away in a frantic attempt to save the codex, but he can't leave without saying goodbye properly after seeing Martin's family overhead. He scales up to them, using the abilities of Venom. Martin's family is put in danger when General Strickland fires at one of the symbiotes in an attempt to halt them during a heated struggle, resulting in an explosion that destroys a large portion of the lab. They momentarily repel the xenophage with the help of other symbiotes, but it soon returns. Payne grabs a car and crashes it into the animal. As Eddie gets ready to run, the xenophage makes a sharp noise that renders the symbiotes helpless and makes it clear that she intends to call in Knull for assistance. As a gateway opens, Knull's henchmen pour in with the intention of capturing Venom and seizing the codex. Understanding that the symbiotes aren't the true bad guys, Strickland consents to assist. Eddie intends to change into Venom in order to divert the hunter's attention, while Strickland prepares to attack with helicopters. One by one, the symbiotes fail in spite of their joint efforts. Desperate to divert the monster's attention, Strickland shoots at it, suffering serious injuries in the process. When Venom transforms into his actual form, the hunter lets go of Strickland and turns his attention to Eddie. Martin shows in and injures the hunter just as Eddie is ready to be eaten, saving him but seriously injuring him. Weakened, Venom drags Eddie to a helicopter while complaining about the newcomers and the overpowering strength of the xenophage. Venom expresses his crushed hope of witnessing the Statue of Liberty in a depressing time. Venom regrettably maintains that they won't make it this time, despite Eddie's assurances that they will eventually see it. As more hunters show up, it seems like loss is certain. Venom tells Eddie that it's time to put a stop to everything. They take on the hunters together. Venom uses his last remaining might to limit the threat by absorbing those who attempt to harm him. In order to get rid of the monsters, he then requests that Strickland turn on the lab's acid system. Knowing that he probably won't make it, Strickland consents and gives the doctor and her colleague the order to leave. Venom throws Eddie to safety, asks him to remember him, and sacrifices himself before the acid flows. Venom and the other hunters are consumed by the acid. As Eddie watches him crumble, saying goodbye, Venom uses his last remaining strength to protect him from the acid. As he draws closer to death, Strickland sets up an explosion to make sure the hunters can't get away. Dr. Payne, meantime, experiences a flashback to the untimely death of her brother. She utilizes the symbiote container to save her colleague just in time as she stumbles while they are running. As the lab crashes, they manage to get away from the mayhem and find safety with the symbiote's assistance. Despite being victorious, Eddie loses consciousness. Eddie wakes up later. He tries to contact his loyal companion Venom right away in the hopes of hearing back, but reality strikes hard as a general stands next to him and tells him that Venom is not meant for this planet. The general offers a ray of optimism in spite of the hard reality. Subsequently, we witness Eddie meandering through the streets of New York, reflecting on the positive and negative moments he spent with Venom. He finally reaches the Statue of Liberty, which Venom had always hoped to see. Knull declares in a post-credit scene that they are all his and that they will all burn under his control. A symbiotic cockroach has also survived, and we learn that the bartender is still alive. Venom 3. The last dance was that.